Hi, this is Ryan Neal from the USA offices of Neal's Saddlery and Harness, Cowboy Sewing Machines, and High-Tech Sewing Machines. Today we're going to do a little featurette video on the service and operation, threading, and adjustment for our CB4500 heavy-duty leather stitcher. So the first thing we're going to do during the video is I'm going to show you how to thread the machine, and then I'm also going to show you how to remove the bobbin, also make bobbin tension adjustments on the machine as well. So we'll go ahead and get started on this, and I'll show you how this works. The camera is going to be moving in and out, zooming in and out while I show you some angles on how to thread this machine just to make it easier for you guys to view. Now, if we have this thread wax lube pot installed on the machine, normally if you are utilizing the lube pot, what you're going to have to do is thread the lube pot in it and then proceed with threading the machine in a regular fashion. So I'm going to show you how to thread the lube pot right now. Now, you don't have to have the lube pot installed on the machine. You can remove the lube pot if you're not using it. Then you're just going to bypass this entire process altogether, and instead you'll start from the first threading position, which is right here on the machine. But for right now, I'm going to show you how to thread the wax lube pot in case you do want to use a thread lube. Generally, you're not going to use the thread or the wax lube pot only if you're sewing beta or biothane webbing, or if you're sewing masticated rubber, gum rubber, things like that. That's a situation where you would need to use the wax lube pot. But for regular leather sewing, you generally do not need to use it. So when you're threading the wax lube pot, the first step you want to do is put the thread through the hole, this hole over here on the far right hand side of the lube pot from my perspective. And then the second thing you want to do is open up the wax lube pot, and then what you'll do is thread through the hole that's in the finger right here, and then you'll just thread that from right to left through that hole again from my perspective. And then the third thing you want to do is thread this hole that's at the on the left hand side of the wax lube pot from my perspective, and then you'll go ahead and close the wax lube pot, and then from there you'll thread this little eyelet right here on the wax lube pot. From there we're going to go to the first threading position, and again, if you're not utilizing the wax lube pot, you can take it off the machine, bypass all of those steps, and just start from this position right here. So you can thread this eyelet from right to left through the wax, or on the front of the sewing machine here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to push the thread hard down through these two discs so that it lines up with the center shaft that's holding these tension discs, and I'll show that operation one more time so you can see it. So you'll line it up between the two tension discs and just push straight down. You do not wrap the thread around these discs. We just thread the thread directly between the two discs, and that's all. Then from there we're ready to go down to the next threading position, which is this eyelet right here. And what we'll do is we'll thread the eyelet from top to bottom, and then we'll start on the back side of the tension disc, and we'll wrap the thread around one full revolution in a counterclockwise manner, and then another half of a revolution in a counterclockwise manner. So now it's wrapped around those discs 1.5 times, and then from there we're going to put the thread through the eyelet again so that it goes through the eyelet once and then through the eyelet twice. So and again, don't forget it gets wrapped around 1.5 times. Then from there we're going to put it from back to front through the thread check spring, just like this, and so that when you pull on the thread you'll see that the thread check spring moves up and down. Then from there we're going to thread the thread take-up lever. This is the big chrome lever that slaps up and down when the machine runs, and we're going to thread that lever from back to front. And then from there we're going to go down to the thread guide that's in the middle of the cover. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the back side of the screw. We'll pull the thread guide away from the front cover on the sewing machine, and we'll run the thread down through the hole. And again, you want to favor the back side of the screw. Then from there, we'll bring the thread down through the pigtail spring, this eyelet right here. And from there, we're going to thread the small hole that's in the needle chuck on the sewing machine right here, and there's a very small hole here. A lot of people oftentimes miss this step, so if you can see here very closely, there's a small hole, and we're going to thread that hole from top to bottom. Sometimes it helps if you bring the needle bar down just a little bit. And then from there we're going to thread the needle from left to right. Now when the needle is installed in this sewing machine, the needle on a commercial sewing machine will fit in any which way but loose, but there is only one correct way. and that is so that there's a long groove on the left-hand side of the needle, and that faces squarely to the outside of the arm of the sewing machine. Then there's a flat spot or a cutout, which you're not going to be able to see on this side, but it's directly above the eye of the needle, and that flat spot or cutout faces to the right. So always remember, from the operator's perspective, the long groove faces to the left, the flat spot or the cutout faces to the right. And the reason why we have that way is that when you thread your needle from left to right, you can see that the thread is being shielded by the long groove on the left-hand side of the needle. And so that's the reason why we thread the needle from left to right, and the reason why we have the long groove facing to the left-hand side. So from there, all we'll have to do is we'll go ahead and put the thread down through the hole in the inside presser foot, and then we'll lift up on the foot, pulling the thread the rest of the way through the eye of the needle and through the hole on the inside presser foot. So that's a quick view on how to thread the CB4500. And the next step we're going to talk about is how to remove and install the bobbin. So how we do that is the first thing you want to do is you'll see there's a cover on the front of the sewing machine. You want to go ahead and twist that cover so that the bobbin case cover is removed. And then from there, you'll notice right here that there's a small tab facing, when the needle's all the way up in the highest position, you'll see that there's a small tab right here. And what you want to do is you want to push that tab this direction. And so as you push the tab this direction and pull on the bobbin case, it opens right up. There's a small spring that's inside the bobbin case that allows the bobbin case to, or the bobbin itself, to self-eject. And so pulling the bobbin out of the machine, we get something that looks like this. And then what you want to do when you install the bobbin in the sewing machine after you wind the bobbin, what you want to do is hold the bobbin between your thumb and your index finger and pull on the bobbin thread, and the bobbin will spin in a counterclockwise manner. So once the bobbin is spinning in a counterclockwise direction, you want to go ahead and install the bobbin into the bobbin case, and then I'll have the camera come in just a little bit closer, and you'll see that on the side of the bobbin case there's a small slit, and what you'll do is you'll run the thread down through the slit, and then after that you'll force the thread down through the underneath the tension plate that's on the bobbin case, in between the two apparatus that look like sort of like ant pinchers. They sort of look like this, and then there's a hole right there in the center of the ant pinchers. Then what you'll do after that is just clip the bobbin case shut, and then you want to pull on the thread to make sure that there is some tension on that bobbin thread. So after that, you'll trim the thread to about 6 or 8 inches sticking out of the front of the bobbin case area. And now we're ready to pick up the bobbin on the sewing machine. So in order to do that, the easiest way to do it is to grab a hold of the thread where it comes down through the hole that's in the inside presser foot. You want to hold that thread off to the right-hand side at about the 2 o'clock position. 12 o'clock is right in front of you. 2 is a little bit off to the right-hand side. So you'll hold it off to the right-hand side at approximately the 2 o'clock position. Then you'll grab the flywheel, and we'll have the camera pan back so they can see the motion of my hand on the flywheel here. And what you're going to do is you're going to grab a hold of the top of the flywheel, and in one fell swoop, you don't want to do little jerky motions with the flywheel. You want to try to be as fluid as you possibly can. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the flywheel all the way down, and then we'll continue turning it the same direction, and the needle will go all the way down and all the way up in a cycle. And then what we'll do is we'll pull the bobbin thread. Now if you look very carefully here, you can see that the bobbin thread has been pulled up through the hole that's in the needle plate in the feed dog. And so now you can see that there's a loop right there. And so all we have to do is separate the 2 individual threads from that loop, and now what we have is the bobbin thread being picked up, and the thread of course is still through the eye of the needle. Then what we'll do after the bobbin thread is picked up, we'll go ahead and place the cover back on the sewing machine, and you do want to make sure that you place the cover on the sewing machine. The reason for that being is if you're sewing along and you happen to have a pinky finger dangling down through here, then of course you could get your pinky finger or a finger stuck in the shuttle hook area, which of course is not going to be a very pleasant experience. So again, make sure that you put the cover back on, and how you put that on is you put it on so that it's off kilter or off tilted a little bit, and then you just snap the cover all the way shut. So this will be the first video that we're going to be doing in a series of videos on how to service and operate the Cowboy CB4500 sewing machine. And again, my name is Ryan Neal from Neal's Saddlery and Harness Cowboy Sewing Machines. If you have any additional questions on the CB4500, please feel free to contact me at area code 330-692-1418, and I thank you for your time today.